Right now, it is time to welcome in Jane Strong. Of course, Jane has been on air with us many different times. Jane is with, of course, and helped formulate the Equus effect. And we say, good morning and welcome to winter, Jane.
Good morning, Marshall. It's nice to see the winter, isn't it?
You know, it's been one of those winters where we've had warm weather, we've had bitterly cold weather, but not necessarily a lot of snow. But the two big storms we got each packed 20 inches of snow, and the two smaller ones brought in about 5 inches. So yeah, I think it's nice to have the snow on the ground in the wintertime for people that like to go skiing and also the ski jumps and everything. It just puts you more in the wintertime mood when you see snow on the ground. So.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Equus effect, and our thanks once again to the Foundation for Community Health. We put together this series of programs and interviews, which I'm calling the Community Foundation for Community Health Public Forums, about organizations like yours that do so much, that are formed locally, that benefit people in ways that I don't think people understand. Let's talk a little bit for the people that might once again just be finding out about Equus Effect, even though we've talked about it a lot. Let's talk a little bit about the foundation of Equus Effect, and what was the catalyst that had you form this.
I had started to work with horses again in 2002, and I used to ride, not professionally, but I was a competitive rider and walked away from it and came back to it in 2002 through a friend who introduced me to something called natural horsemanship, which was kind of working with horses in a way that made sense to them, but also benefited people because it taught people in general how to kind of settle down and how to be more deliberate and more fluid, I would say, in how they worked with the horses rather than jerking them around and making them do what we wanted them to do, which is what I used to do. And so anyway, I started to do that, and I found it really fascinating because I thought, you know, there's something about this that's really good for me as a person, and settled me down, made me more graceful and respectful, let's say, in my interactions, at least with the horse, and then it started to translate to people. So in 2008, fast forward, while I was doing this, I heard this statistic about veterans committing suicide at the rate of 22 a day. And I just thought, you know, the VA is doing their very best to help these folks, but that was unthinkable to me, for a veteran who'd served his country or her country to take his own life or her own life after coming home. So I realized I kind of got this inspiration that actually I thought the horses could help the vets to do something that traditional therapy couldn't reach, which was to work on what I now know is the nervous system in us, to help us become more grounded and clear and calm and be able to address issues in a way that was more what I call settled, and I thought that would work, and it does. And so we started to talk to the VA, got them finally after 4 years to send us some vets, and then after 3 or 4 years of doing that, working with veterans, the VA and Yale, a team got together and decided to do a research project to see the impact of our work on veterans in a practical sense, like how are they in relationships after they come here? How are they with other people and with navigating life's challenges? And so that's what they're going to do, which is partly why we built this indoor space, this round indoor space, so that we can do this research and meet the deadlines and go with the design that has to be followed in order to make this valid research. So we built this incredible structure so that we're not worried about the snow.
We're speaking with Jane Strong, the Equus Effect. The reason I always like to start off with that question is because I wanted people to understand it's now 2021, and this whole image and dream started in 2008. This has been really, between you and the other people that are involved in it, not only a labor of love, but a lengthy labor of love to work through everything out. And now here you sit 12, 13 years later, and your program is in full bloom, really.
Yeah, that's right. It is, and one of the keys to making it flourish as it has is getting this indoor space so that we can work year round. Number one, we can double our capacity to see veterans, and also we can be doing this no matter what's going on outside, and it doesn't matter. And it means that particularly for veterans, or I would say anyone who's under stress, which now includes these frontline health workers, who we are able to see because of this grant we got from the Foundation for Community Health. We're really grateful for that, and we're able to see these folks over the summer when everyone was closed down. We were, allowed to become an essential business so that we could serve these people who are serving our communities. And we started to do that, and just after we started, we got going on this indoor space so that we can keep going throughout the winter. And these months are going to be long. This isn't over, and folks are still really upset and really frustrated with their inability to resolve this pandemic. Of course, no one can resolve it, but the frontline health workers are certainly stretched to the limit. So we're really grateful for this grant so that we could do this and expand our services to include these people.
It's one of the great things, the Foundation for Community Health, that they're reinvesting this money back into the community. But getting back to actually what you do and how you've now branched out, how do you... There's slight difference. There's got to be a differences between dealing with people from the armed forces and also frontline workers. I mean, you now are dealing with you used to deal with one set of parameters. Now with different sets of parameters and different organizations and people that can come to you. Is this a learn as you go proposition where you put your playbook together as you add more people and slightly different effects? And as this has to be pretty hard for you to put this together and to deal with the different groups of people that you're now dealing with. It's a lot different than when you first started off.
Yes, yes, it certainly is. And I would say that what happened was when we started to become, we were allowed to open up again after last March when everything shut down. We realized that we wanted to serve these frontline health workers, but we knew that we didn't really know enough about them or what their issues were. So we spoke to medics who had served in the military under these very stressful situations and emergency situations and sometimes overwhelming situations where you'd have mass casualties. So we spoke to a bunch of them who had come through our program, and we said, what do you think? What do you think is different about these people? And what they said is that, we were trained to work under duress. We were trained to be in harm's way when we're helping other people. And we're also used to losing people. So doing triage means you decide who's going to be able to go back in the field and who is maybe not worth saving. Not that that's ever an easy decision. I mean, no one ever wants to play God, and that weighs on them tremendously. But they said that they thought these frontline health workers probably were even more upset because they're not used to being in harm's way when they help others. They're highly trained to solve things and make things better, and they have the equipment and the medicine, and they have what they need to make sure people do get better if that's at all possible. And they said that, the other thing is we're protecting people at home, whereas these frontline health workers are actually endangering people at home just because of what they've been doing all day in the hospital or the residences where they're working with older people. And they were just like, these people must be really upset because they just can't do what they were trained to do. So we came in with a bit of an understanding about that, and also about the resistance, which is interesting because a military person is resistant to getting help because they don't ever want to be vulnerable. They are the warriors. They are the defenders, the protectors. So they resist, getting help, which we have to work around in order to get them to come here. And the frontline health workers feel that their job is to help. So asking for help feels selfish to them. And we found that really interesting because that's what they told us. They said, we just feel like we're just being selfish if we ask for help when we're the ones who help others. So it was a very interesting experience. And so we just learned to work around that resistance and include it and recognize it, and and then they were ready to get to work. So it was fascinating for us. But the program itself isn't really different. What I would say is different a little bit is that we just load them up with these resilience tools because they have to go right back to work. So we teach them a lot about how to settle themselves, how to get grounded, how to get clear, and how to teach those things to the people they're working with in the hospitals or facilities so that they can apply them right away, whereas the vets usually aren't.
One thing I want to add before we wrap up is that with the Foundation for Community Health helping you put this program together, it's not only COVID-19. What I find is we have mostly volunteer services around here with frontline workers. Yes, we do have some paid. And they go to a fire, they go to an accident, they go to an event, and they might come upon a brother, a sister, a cousin, but obviously it'll be a member of the community they know. So I think what your program does will help in the long run, even with the intense pressure and sadness that must come along with when that happens, where they show up at a scene and it's somebody they know personally.
That's right. That's exactly right, and that's certainly not true in the military. So that's another big difference that's worth that we take that into account, and it really weighs heavily on them. And they also have to go home every evening and go back to their family and sit at the kitchen table, whereas veterans live together for a long time, and then they come home all at once. But these people really have to get themselves together and get it's nervous system regulation, but we call it settle down. They just have to get themselves to where they can come right back into regular life every day after, no matter what they've faced during the day. So it's been fun to discover and to learn as we go, but the program itself isn't really different. It's not really ever different. It's all about the same thing. And even also the other thing is touch. I mean, it's really terrible when you can't touch people you love or care for. And the horses are big, soft things that you can put your hands on and kind of lean into.
Well, once again, we're speaking with Jane Strong, and once again, talking about the Foundation for Community Health, helping out with this current program. If somebody's listening now, and we talk about help, they need help or they think they can use your help, or else if they want to make a donation to help, what's the easiest way to get a hold of someone from the Equus Effect?
Well, our website has a donate button, which is Equus, EQUUS, EFFECT, theequuseffect.org, or they can call me at 860-364-9985, 860-364-9985. But we really wouldn't have been able to do this, Marshall, without the Foundation for Community Health. They just really were. What a great gift from them, and a great vote of confidence and trust in us as a part of a service to this community. So we're really grateful to them.
All right, Jane, keep up the great work with the Equus Effect, and who knows when we'll speak again, but it might be soon.
Probably soon. Okay, thank you, Marshall.
Take care, Jane.
Bye.
Jane Strong, the Equus Effect. Once again, the Equus Effect on the web is easy to find at their website, theequuseffect.org, theequuseffect.org.